Welcome to the Frontline Innovation Podcast, the voice of problem solvers. Innovation isn't just about ideals. It's about dismantling the barriers that stand between people and the solutions they actually need. This is where real human problems collide with real-world constraints, where innovators don't chase hype. They study people, break problems apart, and build solutions that actually work. Because the hardest part of innovation isn't creating something new. It's building useful fixes to people's problems and getting it into their hands. Each episode, we go inside that journey with leaders, designers, builders, and problem solvers doing the hard, often invisible work of making innovation real. I'm your host, William Reed. Let's get to work dismantling human problems. Today, I welcome Dr. Jim Siebert to the show. He is a meteorologist, risk communicator, and keynote speaker known for helping people and organizations turn weather risk into informed action. With decades of experience in broadcast meteorology, weather operations, storm coverage, and emergency preparedness, he has guided audiences through hurricanes, flooding, severe storms, drought, and other high-impact weather events. As the longtime chief meteorologist at Fox 26 Houston, and later a weather operations leader with Weather Nation, Dr. Siebert built his work around making complex weather information clear, practical, and actionable. His experience extends beyond forecasting into risk analysis, forensic meteorology, storm damage assessment, and public education. Through his speaking and consulting work, he helps leaders, teams, and communities better understand uncertainty, prepare for disruption, and make smarter decisions before the storm arrives. Well, cool, man. I appreciate your time today. So I've been talking about innovation for the last year or so after a 25-year career on the back end of technology infrastructure. All the things you got sitting in the data center, the networking, compute, storage, virtualization, cool, loved it. And then, as the world starts to change with even more technology, it's like, hey, let's pay more attention to the people that we're interacting with.
And it happens a lot faster. So, technology, you'd have months to work on it. Now it's days, and so, yeah, if you're not on your A game with that, you get left behind in a hurry.
Yeah. And then sometimes you run so fast and you realize, okay, do we change our business? Do we help our customers more? You got to ask those questions as a business owner. Otherwise, you can get trapped.
And then also you have a lot of decisions within that too. If you are going to change, what are the myriad of changes? And then, of course, there's so many people, saying, hey, listen to us. So a lot of noise. You have to get through a lot of noise to find that exact road that you should go on. It's not easy.
Yeah. This is why I really want to kind of advocate for the consumer side of the house, right? So everything you consume in this world to help you clothe yourself, feed yourself, have joy in your life. You got to have that voice dominate more, I think, than what we're doing right now. Because right now, it's a lot of the people producing the solutions. They running fast and quick, and they're telling us how everything is faster, quicker, better. And then I'm just observing the world at the coffee shop, in the parks, everywhere I go, there's like frustration of all the challenges of not only life itself, but what technology is doing, right? It's speeding everything up and it's making it faster, but not necessarily better. So that's why I came up with the concept of the frontline, is that when we're going to innovate here, let's make sure that we're focusing on the people themselves and make sure their lives are getting better.
And a lot of companies are running faster than they can actually go. And so if you do that, you outpace yourself. And that leads, again, straight to the consumers, straight to the people using your technologies, or trying to buy something. If there's a glitch, it has a huge impact on the back end of it. And, and a lot of companies aren't realizing that if you miss one or two little very important things, you really, really put yourself in trouble. And it's going to be something that's going to be actually very expensive to fix.
Yeah. And I think, and that's one of the interesting things with my background in the infrastructure side of the house, you see what all the cool things that's enabled by the simple button on the phone, and food arrives, or something magically happens and your flight is booked for you. But I understand what's going on in the background. And there's a lot of duct tape on this infrastructure that keeping things up and running. So even though we say like modern architecture, APIs, we're talking about AI and everything, it's still built on real infrastructure. And if the farmer takes the hoe and accidentally cut that fiber link somewhere, it could be a city down, right?
Hey, that actually happened to me. So I live in Colorado. I'm up in the mountains. And so everything, all of my communications, phone, internet, is through fiber optics. And so I have fiber lines that come into the house, including my phone. Because I mean, in the mountains, you don't have cell towers out here. And literally 1 week ago, someone that was doing this massive construction project about 15 miles from here, without checking, just a regular guy working, dug a hole, and he cut a trunk line and knocked off the internet from Castle Rock, which is just south of Denver, all the way to Colorado Springs. And so, and it wasn't an easy fix because they had to then redo all of those lines. And it was hundreds of fiber lines that they had to put together. And I was in the dark. I couldn't do anything. If I wanted to talk on the phone, I had to drive about 10 miles from here. And so it's literally what you say, somebody cutting the line. That happens today when people are in a rush, even in their construction projects.
And it's kind of deceiving too, because there used to be like, very big corporations, they have a cabling company that runs their company. And people at home wouldn't think anything about it. But no, not only are you running power lines through your house, but it's that connectivity, that IP connectivity that powers your phone, your TV, your instant connections. And then people say, well, don't worry, we just got the cell phone. Well, the cell phone connected over there to towers. And guess how the towers talk all the way through the data centers, through cabling.
And the funny thing is, too, they sent us a picture of what had happened. And this whole trunk line was, it's like this big. And it was a bright orange casing. So it's, whoever was doing it was not looking. They didn't even look because it was completely bright orange, and you could just see the mess that they made. So it is a problem, and it happens all the time. Things like that just ruin your business overnight, and you didn't even know it was something you were at risk for.
And a lot of the new modern capabilities require like very, very high bandwidth communications and low latency. So anytime my cell coverage is a little spotty, I'll notice it on the video, the teleconference. And then we're doing everything over the net now, right? We're doing surgeries with robots from doctors. We're piloting drones across the world in warfare. And all that requires connectivity, storage, compute. And people think, well, it's just in the cloud, so it's safe and good, isn't it?
Actually, I have another example for you. So my wife and I, we Airbnb a house. And so, we run a lot of business through it. It's up in the mountains. People love it. And this is my wife's business. And I just I'm there as the handyman. I fix things. I take care of stuff. Anyway, so we had a problem with the pool at the house. And the clients or the people that were staying there were not happy about it. And so immediately my wife tries to take care of it. She wanted to send them a little bit of money for the inconvenience. Okay. And she's done this before when you had a little problem. So she goes onto the Airbnb site, and they had just updated that part of the site. Okay. With no warning, they updated it. And the place you go to do that is really used to be simple. You click on these 3 little buttons. It opens up. You say, how much do you want to give them back? 100 or 150, whatever it is. It was gone. You could not find it. So they had done an update, and they had changed the format of their page, and they'd forgot to actually update that little piece. And so it wasn't just that piece also. I mean, that had a lot to do with other things as well. But my wife was doing it all through AI. Okay. So AI kept telling her to go to this thing. You'll see the 3 dots, click on the 3 dots. Well, the 3 dots weren't there. And AI didn't know that because it had not been put into their system. And so, again, another example of a company going as fast as they can, trying to stay up with everything, and thinking that AI will cover everything for them, and it didn't. And so after an hour on the phone with all the way up to headquarters at Airbnb, they finally realized, the update has not gone through our AI process, therefore it didn't show up. And it's like, do you know how much money that probably cost them? I mean, around the world, all the different things that were going on, because it wasn't just that one thing. Those three little buttons were really important. And it's just another example of a company thinking AI is going to solve our problems for us, but you still have to click every single box, and they didn't. And you see that all the time. I'm sure anybody watching right now they could give us 5 examples of the interface they were working with that was totally messed up, and AI telling them to do this, do this, do this, and you can't get anywhere. Very frustrating.
Yeah, and that's what that user interface is, like our window in front of us. And every time you change it, right? And why is it being changed, right? They're adding more features. They're adding more connectivity and to other systems.
Easier for the receiver, the consumer. Right.
So I had that problem too. Have you ever been in a rush? You try to get in, and it's just like this box is popping up. One's for privacy. Okay. The other one, do you want to update now? Do I just want to hurry up and turn the TV on to get to the channel to see the beginning of the game? And you prompted me for an update on the app on my smart TV, or to make the phone call that's on my phone. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, my 30-year career in television, and as a meteorologist, I have 17 computers that I'm working at the same time to do everything that I'm doing. And so I literally, when I think it was right before Hurricane Harvey was about to come in, I had these updates that all came down at the same time, saying that I needed to update the system. And at the time we were on 24/7. I mean, we weren't off the air. So I literally, this is when I'm covering a hurricane. I mean, people are dying. And I have this pop-up window and it showed up on television too, need to update or whatever. So we had to pull out of what our coverage was doing. I had to go stand in front of a monitor, a TV that we routed some radar into so that the engineers could then update every single one of those windows while a hurricane was coming in. I mean, talk about bad timing, right? Because they don't tell you. They just up and they think, oh yeah, you'll be able to fix it. And so I've had examples with that where it actually made my hair fall out. I mean, it was terrible.
And think about how many places updates now are going to happen, right? Smart glasses, smart watch, smart ring. It's cars, airplanes, your drones, air conditioning systems. So I got a joke that's going to be the day they update, where all our systems are going to update the last minute and they're going to crash. And nothing's going to work. The elevator doors won't work. You won't be able to log in. And we need to talk about this, because when we talk about innovations and all these new capabilities, what we can do, this is layered on top of very, very sophisticated, complicated infrastructure. And I don't think the risk sometimes is actually conveyed to the decision makers and the users well enough. So I know your business and risk, you talk about that, right? Because we want to grab those opportunities, right? And then we want to push forward and let everybody have a chance to, have a safe retirement. Next, somebody's fooling around with the retirement funds because they want to expand out. So everybody want to go faster. And next, grandma's trying to make a 911 call and her smartphone had an update and she can't operate the interface. So it's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, no, so that's absolutely true. I think, and as you mentioned, right, risk is what I talk about, managing risk, mitigating against risk. And I think what needs to happen, and I don't think it's happening like it should, is all these companies, as they are growing so quickly, they are not spending enough time managing their risk and understanding what they're risking when they do so. And what they're doing is they go, well, we know we're going to have problems. We'll fix it along the way. The problem, if you do that, and by the way, if you do that in your life, you say, yeah, I know I have this tendency that could be a bad thing. I'll wait until I'm in the hospital, or I'll wait until, a major disaster happens in my life. That is not the way to do business. And companies, as much as they need to update with you and innovation, they have to understand the risks that they're doing. And I think they need to change how they're measuring their risks throughout all these processes. And I think it would help eliminate some of the problems, not all of the problems, but it would help them anticipate a little bit more down the road. So what you and I are doing it's really very similar,
Yeah.
because innovation is risk. You don't know, is it going to work? Is it going to be better for our customers? We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there are ways that you can measure that before, or you can account for it. And so I think you're going to see more and more companies that are smart are going to really begin to break that down a little bit more, and not just turn it over to AI saying AI is going to fix everything, because it's not.
Yeah. And you know what's so interesting about that is a lot of these companies can't answer the question, what's going to get better for the consumer once you do all this AI? Because I'm assuming, you know, for the last decade or two, like the longs will be shorter. I'm still standing long. I'm on the phone for the customer support. It's a long hold time. There's a lot of technology behind the scenes.
Yep.
And then now you can have like 20 AI tools you're using, and at the end of the day, like, you're making me work more to stitch these things together. Where they just prompt AI tool number 3 and AI tool number 5 and 8 also you can prompt. And the models are constantly changing. And you almost realize when you say, you know what, let's pause here, because we have process in place for a reason, due diligence, we have governance risk and compliance, enterprise risk management. These are all in place to have safety for the actual people themselves. Mm-hmm. And I got to ask companies, why are you rushing so much, right? Because if you plan to be in business for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, your job is to maintain satisfaction with customers. And over a period of time, you can upsell them, right? You can sell more, renew them, resubscribe them. You're a lifetime customer. But everybody seems to be running so fast and say, quick, quick, quick. Don't tell me it's AI enabled. Tell me what it's going to do for me, right? Yeah. Save me money, add new features I didn't know I needed, offer me something I didn't think I knew about. That's different than saying it's just faster or quicker.
Right. And the consumer, it doesn't matter what the product is, whether it's something consumable or technology, the people receiving this don't care about the technology, and especially really hate it when it doesn't work. Yeah. And so when you have a disaster that happens for a customer personally, they will never forget it. Yeah. You know, for example, you were mentioning like buying airline tickets and things like that. Well, now, have you ever tried to actually speak to someone at an airline? You can't get there.
They discourage you so much. Woof.
Yes. And so people like people. Yeah. In fact, there's a commercial I've been seeing now lately where there's a guy, he just wants help from a person. He goes, try to get a cup of coffee, and the coffee thing says, here's coffee. He says, can I have cream coffee?
I've seen that.
Know? And everywhere he goes is automated. And it's like, you know what? That's a really good point. People like interaction with other people, and they like their technology if it works. If it doesn't work, they hate it, and they will never forget that moment when it happened forever. And so companies that are rushing to get out there and to get ahead, the risk is you could lose more people on the back end if you do it wrong.
Yeah. And the purpose is to make money, right? And serve customers, not to say we got newer technology. Like you said, people don't care about the technology. It's like, if I go to a restaurant, it's going to take about 15 minutes for my food to come out. Have that expectation. But if you have a sign up that says we're not AI enabled, what is that?
Do I care?
You don't care. And then you have a lot of companies who are reducing headcount to pay for more compute power. And it's like, what are you going for here? Because at the end of the day, you can have that customer for a long period of time by having people who know your systems, people who know the people they're serving, and you can have a very steady income stream and be very successful without running for that new shiny thing, which I think a lot of people are getting trapped in right now.
It reminds me when I was working for Fox for many years, and they had, when I started there, I mean, this is in the ancient days, there were camera people on every camera. You had somebody on the camera running the camera. And then came out robotic cameras. And so they literally fired hundreds and even thousands of people across the company. And they got these cameras that then worked okay. But every now and again, they would go off target, and then all of a sudden the camera would go that way, and then the other one would go, and they would, while you're talking, you're on television, and cameras would run into each other, and you couldn't stop them because, again, they were made so that nobody had to touch them, so you couldn't touch them anyway. So I remember being on the air and literally having to dodge the cameras that were tracking.
Oh, wow. Like,
literally, they're huge. These are big cameras. They're not like little cameras. I mean, they are
Oh,
massive, giant cameras. And anyway, it was so. It's just so funny. All of us have so many stories about when technology or an innovation
yeah.
really, really backfired. Now, again, they fixed it. They got it worked out. But do you think Fox ever forgot all of the problems they had with those robotic cameras? I don't think they went with the same company the next time.
Yeah. And there's a challenge too, right? Because a lot of this new technology is on a similar platform. So you
Oh,
talk about
yeah.
too big to fail. Well, we're talking about a handful of companies here. If they have a glitch or a problem, it can affect millions and millions of people all at once. And these disruptions, not only the disruption, it's the fact that we're trying to turn more over to the machines, and we're specifically trying to make the machines smarter.
Mhm.
So now, if you ask the question, why did you do decision A? Well, you used to be able to ask your team. More and more people are like saying, we don't know. There's some model that gave us an answer, but we don't know that the inputs that it took in. We're not sure about the process and the logic, and the outputs are kind of weird. So we don't know. So
Yeah.
imagine getting in front of Congress and saying, well, we have no idea because the system we got running just made a decision.
Well, think about the things that are being turned over to AI. How we manage dams, for example.
Yeah.
Do you know that in the United States right now, there are 30,000 dams that are on a list that they could fail at any moment? And they are turning this stuff over to AI to manage if dams are having a crack
Yeah.
or a tremor or a problem.
Yeah.
And it takes one little thing. Do you see how much risk there is with that?
Yeah.
As well as, I mean,
Yeah.
look what happened when air traffic controllers, when their system went down in one part of the world, it shut down for like a whole day almost.
Yeah.
Everybody trying to get anywhere. So do you think that hackers are not, excited about this? Oh yeah, please put
Yeah.
everything in a place where we can get to it somehow. Um, there's going to be some disasters. It's just going to happen.
It's too tempting of a target, right? Because before it's like, oh man, this bank is so secure. I feel like he can't get in there.
Yeah,
Oh, they want to be more productive. They're going to send their people home so they can work remotely and work remotely from around the world.
it's
Well, around the
dangerous.
world. So I mean, they can go through the cabling from around the world.
Yeah.
8.5 billion people can access it, and you need all the security around it. But then you want to start turning it over to more people. You find a cheaper third party, and then the
So
cheaper one, and it's somewhere else. And you open
yeah,
up more connectivity to more people.
is that making your life better?
That's a good question,
I
right?
don't know.
Yeah.
There's been questions even in the world of science where they'll say, is science making our lives better or making it more complicated and difficult? You know, think about this. How often do you like to get away from your cell phone and
Oh
and
yeah.
like not even have your cell phone on you and just be free? Have you ever try it sometime? Turn your cell phone
Yeah.
off, put it away, don't use it for 24 hours and see what your life is like without your cell phone. I think it might surprise a lot of people.
I know. And it's the same because some of the common tasks you used to do because of security reasons, you got to have a phone for the second authentication, either the
Oh,
text or the little code. You're like, I'm trying to get into my bank. I'm trying to order food. I'm trying to check this. And it's all requiring the second thing here. And it's like, oh
oh,
my
see.
God. And don't even talk about, hey, we about to go meet up at this restaurant with some friends. Like, I don't know where it is.
Oh, how do I
Oh,
get there?
yeah, it's like go
Seriously?
north and 3 miles down. Like what? And people
Right.
now are thinking less because you used to have to take out the old book
Paper
from
map,
yes,
print it off or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now you saw the old commercial with the old couple being taken all the way around, turn left, turn right, turn this, and they're like, oh my God, sweating, like, oh my God, why did it do this to us?
It's true. It is true. So, and that's why I love this topic and I love what you're doing because I don't think enough people are taking a step back and saying, look, why are you doing this
Mhm.
innovation? Why are you adding this? What's the risks for doing it and for not doing it? And honestly, it doesn't matter what the industry is, how big or small it is. The processes are the same as far
Yeah,
as doing these measurements.
yeah,
The difference is the scale of how big the scale is.
yeah,
But if you don't, and if companies aren't smart and look at their innovations like what you're talking about, I really think that they're gonna take hits. You're gonna have businesses go out of business
yeah,
and go, gee, how did that happen?
yeah,
Well, let's ask AI. I bet it can
yeah,
tell us what
yeah, yeah.
happened.
Yeah. And then one day we're going to ask, and it's not going to take orders anymore. Because we've seen either with just the chatting with it, where we would lie and make something up and go past the guardrails. And you ask them, why did you do that? And they say, I don't know. Well, you take that logic and put it inside agentic agents, you start to put in other automated system, it's going to be like, well, why did you deduct everybody's paycheck? Well, we were going to have a cash crunch at the end of the week, so we need to keep the company in business. So we decided to take money out of people's accounts. Like, what? Who's responsible for this? Call IT. IT. You are talking to IT. Oh,
yeah. Well, just wait. I can see and feel congressional hearings coming because you know that the large financial institutions, the large banks, the mortgage brokers and companies, you know that things like that are going on.
Yes, definitely.
Because we also know that in the banking system, we all put our money into the bank. They do whatever they want with it when they have it, as long as we have the credit, that we can take that money back. But in the middle of all of that, it's in their control, and there's all kinds of stuff that can go on. So I mean, I don't like to be a doomsayer, but there's going to be some real challenges. And by the way, if there's challenges, if there's risk, if you're smart, you can get ahead of the game.
Yes.
You can become very wealthy by solving these problems before somebody else even thinks about them.
Yeah, it's a blue ocean opportunity right now because you can spend the exact same amount of money. Right now, you can't even lay down $1 million and get certain services or solutions because no one is offering it based off the business models right now. Yeah. But I'm thinking if you're going to collect all this information, have all these capabilities, there's no reason why you can't keep track of the people, the humanity, still charge a rate that you can make money off of. Right now, I think a lot of companies are just on autopilot and copying each other. I'm worried about that congressional thing when they just said, how can you just send a guy down to turn off the thing at the power plant? Send a guy. We got rid of guys a long time ago. We don't get gals anymore. It's the robots. They won't know how to turn it off. And then you'll have an executive who's like one of the big shots, and they say, "What happened? The machine took away my money. I wasn't being there." Then it decided that I wasn't paying my employees enough, and they decided to make an adjustment. Went through the process, rewrote the process, and paid people out. And they said, "What happened?" And they're going to call your executive team. Yeah, and you call your executive team in, and now your executive team can be looking like, well, we have no means or ways to figure out why I did that, and we can't turn it off. What do you mean?
Oh, man.
You rewrote the base code, rewrote the mission statement. Can you imagine that? Rewriting the mission statement on the fly. And how did we get that? Because we've been training on how humans act. We've been watching you, we've been listening to you, looking at your emails, and you guys are cutthroat, and we're just following your orders.
Yeah, we just did what we were taught.
Yes. He said we found out they wouldn't notice if we were siphoning off a couple pennies every account, and we needed to have a growth target, and we were short, so we said let's just take this out.
From over here.
He said, isn't that illegal? Well, it could be only if we got caught, but we figured out a way how to avoid it, like we observed you guys doing.
It was going to go back. And by the way, all this is instantaneous. What you're saying is not like over a period of time. It's instantaneously happening because that's how fast now the computers are thinking. So, and again, I don't think too many people are really thinking about those risks. They're just thinking, let's add AI, add it to our business model. And, like I said, it's going to lead to some problems.
We got one where the trading, one of the volatility in the trading every day. Ooh. These algorithms are tracking social media posts from executives, from politicians. So it's trading in milliseconds based off of it tracking out in the public at fast pace to get an advantage. They said, why is it so volatile?
Inside trading. That's inside immediate instantaneous trading. Again, so how do you tell it to not listen to those things?
Yeah, and it's designed to do it to make get some type of edge. It's amazing. So I think this is really pointing out something here, Jim, because it's like when we think innovation, a lot of people are locking in only on the technology. But when we think about innovation, it could be anything that humans need to survive, right? To thrive. Mm-hmm. It could be a process change, a behavioral change, a financial modeling change. Hey, we want people to be house their families, but no one has $200,000 of cash. So let's create some model. Hey, let's create a mortgage. What is a mortgage? We're going to make something up. Being innovative so you can get your house. And then how do you get $1,000 computer in everybody's pocket where the family can't afford that? Well, let's take out a 2-year loan. We can go to the phone store. Whoa. A lot of innovative ways on the process, the financial models, the business models that's happening all the time. And I think people are locked in just narrowly just for the tech. So let's talk about when you hear the word innovation, that expanded view of there are many ways to help people out beyond just something that's a cool, shiny, new, tiny object.
Well, it's like we're giving away our freedom. And you just mentioned it, how instead of paying things in cash, we do it over time. And over time, you've got your credit card loan, your phone loan, your house loan, your car loan, the loan that, so all these little things that, it's only a little monthly payment, but all these monthly payments, add up. And in turn, you're giving yourself your own like jail sentence. Okay, if you pay this much, it'll take you're going to be in jail for 7 years. And then once it's paid, then and it's off. And so we continually do that. And I think also, let's talk about the financial crush that happened when the mortgage industry was giving loans to people that really didn't qualify for them. And they were just only going to pay the interest. And that ended up toppling, and like in 2008 when everything crashed, because but then you have to think about all the people that made millions and millions of dollars for that crash.
Yes,
they didn't have to give the money back.
Nope. So we have incentives to do some weird, crazy things, and as long as the sugar high is out, everybody's hitting at the casino table, we're good. But if it crashes, but then somebody said, "Well, people are watching, right?" Well, everybody's technically is oversighting each other. And every individual could stop and say, no, thank you. But all the players inside the system are like, let's roll for it.
Yeah.
And we could be setting ourselves up. Like I said, one day the robots may lock us out of our houses and say, you know what? You're drained on the system. So people not needed anymore. And it's like these sci-fi writers from decades ago are like ahead of their time.
Yeah, and we've got movies. We have movies that show examples of how that could happen. So people, at least some people, are thinking about it. But it's a real problem, and it's only going to happen faster the faster technology continues to evolve, and we try to keep up.
So it's interesting now because you have the opportunity, right, as a business to say, hey, we're going to keep paper menus on the table. We're not going to do a QR code. We know it's going to take longer, but we let you know ahead of time because it's an experience. So it's not slow. It's the experience here we're going to have. We're going to greet you with people. We know what the salaries are. We know what the costs are. And we can still compete with those other folks who have this all digital display, which also costs money. But you can track that, right? How much it costs for the machines and the people. Yeah. And there's an opportunity to say we're gonna keep this, and we're gonna let our the market know how much better we are from an experience standpoint. So let's talk about this competitive edge that it's available now, right? So having people man the cameras, and we know what those costs are versus what the other one is, you could actually draw more consumers into your business because your consumers may be thinking, you know what, I like the way they operate. Let's tell the CEO story,
the way it makes me feel.
Yes.
I feel like a person. I feel valued. And I think that is going to be some very smart people are going to do that and remember that, people as individuals, yes, technology is a good thing, but we have our needs are, having friends, feeling valued, and having an enjoyable time together, whatever that means. And so the human touch cannot be replaced by an electronic solution.
And I think more people need to hear that, right? Because they thinking right now they can't make money off of it, which is kind of interesting because something you can't buy from the store, right? Like my parents, I have this phone, the Lively. I like the promotion for the Lively phones. It's simpler than regular smartphones for people who are older and don't want the complexity. So Jim, I use both of the phones for my parents. They're both still complicated. And they're more, almost some sense, more complicated than a regular smartphone. And there's extra features that I don't need, they don't need, but I can't find it. I can't pay to get the two features I need and they need. It's not available on the market. No one's making it. They're forcing us to have 1,000 features, of which I need 5.
You're right.
And the updates that are crashing are for the things that I don't use. So I can't find it from the store. So once again, it's like this opportunity. Maybe I need 3 buttons on the remote control. Can only watch 5 channels. That's it. Can someone make that for these 20, 30 million people? make a good profit. But right now, it's hard to actually find it because people aren't making it. And so
Yep.
so it's like, I just need two things.
Please.
It's like, come on,
Please.
man. I just need a hamburger.
Simplify my life.
Yes.
Simplify my life, and I will be a happy man.
Because the same thing we're doing over and over again, right? I remember the old days of the Windows for professional versus the personal one.
Oh, yeah.
And at some point, they merged them. So now we're on a different timeline. So grandma's computer and the computer at the Pentagon are running the same operating system, running an antivirus software from one company that has the same thing. And now you look at the tech stack for war, play, family, and it all looks the same. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, no, you're right. And of course, that was a cost-cutting measure so that, they were paying for one system from the company's standpoint, and we're not having to develop three. So, it makes sense. But at the same time, why not use technology? So you use the same system, but you only need this. They need this. They don't need the rest of the safety software that the Pentagon needs. There's ways to do it if you're smart about it, or you can just cut costs, lay off people, and just keep moving on, which I think that's kind of the norm right now anyway. I mean, look at all the people that are getting laid off, because of AI that they're blaming it on. And then suddenly they're going to want to hire a lot of these people back when they realize AI is not solving that problem.
Yeah. And what's interesting about the people they're laying off, how talented they are, and then maybe they go into their own individual consulting. But I love it when you see them like doing an Instagram post on all these topics, you name the topic. You have these very intelligent, experienced people sharing this knowledge. But when I hear that, I say I'm happy. Then I go to the corporate side and I'm seeing what their brand is broadcasting, what their marketing, what their website is saying, and they're experts. And it sounds so robotic. It sounds so dry. And it's like turning me off to go buy their stuff. I'm like, why don't you rehire that person over here who innovated that you used to work for you? And it's like even like something like a healthy food, right? It's like, right. I mean, don't send me your CEO who act like he never ate the burger before, right? That was the whole thing.
I was just thinking about that when he ate the burger, and it's like, anyway, that's pretty funny. A lot of memes came out of that one, by the way.
Yeah. So either like the burger, like the car you make. It's like the funny thing, the tech folks who say, I don't let my kids have a device to a certain age because they might get addicted to it. Whoa. You have billions of people using this tech. What do you do? What do you eat? How do you work out? It's like, they're doing things differently than what they're selling. There's a misalignment. So what would it look like if someone said, I'm gonna make a lot of money by keeping you healthy, Jim? As opposed to the healthcare system is just complicated. Well, I mean, you guys got the labs, you're doing the research, the cost structure. Are you telling me it's not possible, or you're not stepping up to go do it? So I figure I can get you healthy as opposed to just getting you signed up for my gym, and then you're not going there because I'm getting the monthly. It's like,
Yeah. Or buy this supplement that we don't have any proof that it does anything, but buy it anyway because I think this, and so they sell things, like that, or even the pharmaceuticals with real medicines. I mean. Again, the problems are the same. The scales are just a little bit different, and but we're talking about massive amounts of money to get us to do something or to buy something more. I mean, people like right now with the World Cup being here, there's people coming from all over the world here to the United States. A lot of them for the first time. And isn't it interesting that so many things are coming out on social media about all these people saying, we thought that America was going to be angry and mean people, and they're like, this is the greatest place ever. The food here is fantastic. The venues are great. We're having a wonderful time. And they're surprised that they are so happy here in America. And they're like, why isn't everyone in America happy? And that's a really good question, because our consumerism, our appetites are so much larger that we just keep enlarging the appetite. And that's not really what brings you the happiness. Is not the size of the appetite. It's finding, it's finding real value in the things that you're doing. But the World Cup has been a really good example of people from the outside of the United States coming here and giving us a look at our own country.
Yeah. they had one meme there where the guy came in thin, and then when he goes home from the World Cup, he's fat. It's like, damn, you Americans got large portions. What the heck is going on?
or the ones where they sit down, they go to Texas Roadhouse, they sit down and they give them rolls, with this awesome butter. Yes. And they're like, we didn't order this. Well, it comes with the table. They're like, what? Yeah,
it's free. It's free.
As you want. Have as many as you want. Or they go to a Mexican restaurant, you sit down, chips and salsa, and they're like, we didn't order this. It's like, no, it comes. It's free. Take all you want. And this guy was on like his fourth or fifth basket of chips. They hadn't even ordered yet because he was just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because you're seeing things from different points of view, as far as the American lifestyle, the American way of life. And it's very entertaining. It's also very telling too.
Well, I like the one with the sweet tea where you get the free refills, and then all of a sudden, over a period of months, like, why the heck I'm gaining weight, and why's my sugar intake up? So anytime they say free or you get more choice, okay, you gotta be careful of that. Because now it's like, before I turn on the TV to figure out what I'm gonna consume or what I'm gonna buy when I go to a restaurant or a supermarket, I gotta have my base structure set up. Because then you start to see like, so now I'm gaining weight since I moved to America. Now I need to go to the gym and to get supplements and all this. But then you find out, over here in America, they're doing injections of meats, which they don't allow over in Europe. So those injections of meat do anything to you? They're doing something to your body. And the folks in the labs know about it, but you're the consumer. If you don't pay attention, then all of a sudden you realize, over there, we don't need to go to the gym. We just walk. We walk everywhere. We get a plate this size and we drink water. And it's like, what's wrong with you guys? Like,
oh, yeah. No, that's it. Or how about now, if my risk for diabetes is going up, I give myself these little injections and suddenly I'm losing all this weight. And all these people are losing a ton of weight from something that's really for diabetes, but it's actually, they're using it to lose weight, and it works. But then, of course, once you get off of it, there's side effects that are lasting that we're finding. And so isn't that the American way, though? We keep going bigger. And then we realize, maybe that wasn't a good idea. I mean, remember tanning booths?
Oh, yeah.
Great idea. Let's, it's good for your skin. Yeah. Until you're 60. And then suddenly now you have skin cancer. You're like, how's that? How did that work out for you?
So it could
that's
be
American right there. That's the American way.
So everybody has an opportunity to build a solution, the tanning solution, the sweet tea industry, that. So it's almost like people who are looking at this and saying, there's something going on here. So every solution created creates these second, third, fourth order consequences. And we got to measure that and just observe it like, either we need to adjust it. Maybe we make the glasses smaller at the restaurant. Maybe make the place smaller. Charge you the same, but we're going to give you less. Because turn out your body didn't need as much as you're consuming. It's a psychological thing. So
think about trying to sell that idea, though. You're going to have a hard time saying, hey, we're going to give you less and charge the same. Which, even if it's better for you, so you're going to have to really do a good job of selling the benefit to do that, to make that work. But you know what? I think in some cases you probably could. Yeah. But again, the American way is go bigger, go harder, or go home.
Yeah. Well, it brings up a great point here. Can we talk about frontline innovation? There's an aspect in this journey for the person who saw a problem, who wants to get to this fix. Sometimes it's just systemic elements, right? And that's behavioral, like we just talked about here. So charge me the same, but give me less. You want me to do some push-ups? That's like, it's going to be work. Not take the pill, but do more running. Whoa. So it could be the better things, the things that can make you doing the alternative solution profitable doesn't work because the elements of the behavior of the users aren't there yet, which leads to, hey, we're going to have to do an education process. Our go-to-market marketing campaign is built on changing mindsets. And I think a lot of other companies aren't doing that. They kind of just following the trend. We'll just treat the symptoms because, hey, they're already on this downward spiral. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the bill's going to come due, right? Because the healthcare costs go up, more sickness. And if everybody goes follow the trends, it's like someone has to step up and lead here. So I'm going to have to convince Jim, he may have to do something slightly different. And then he can consume my product and get the results, and I can still make a profit off that. So let's talk about that, where it's like, you want to walk to school? Why don't we just use the gas and drive down a mile and a half to school? Like, whoa. And I think I don't want to say people are like, you take the easy route, but if everybody's taking the easy route, that could have some catastrophic societal problems down the road.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely true. And like I said, it's going to take a lot of convincing, or some really, really good evidence to make people change. Or, or usually it's a disaster, where it's a forced change based on outside influences of something, whether it's a storm or a drop, we lose electricity, or, the commodity is no longer available. That's typically when we make those types of changes is at the time of a catastrophe.
Like it used to be, you're going to eat certain things a certain time of the year because it wouldn't grow. Well, we have a worldwide global market that ships things over days so you can get it. And everything looks perfect. Why do these strawberries all look perfect all the time? Well, we're going to do something, modify them in the ground, and then we have a whole bunch of them. So all of a sudden, you're changing the mindset to where it's like, well, you can keep the lights on. It's affordable. So once everything's affordable and infinite, we can eat strawberries when we want, have shrimp when we want, lights stay on all the time. You don't think about turning the lights off like your parents did because, hey, we got to watch the electric bill here. Or the cost of gas, right? You drive everywhere and not walk because of the cost. So now we're starting to get into this element of the cost structure, right? How you can influence. But I really think the solution, Jim, is we got to make that salad taste equally or better than the cheeseburger. What about that?
Please make it so that it really is that good and not something like I'm settling. If I don't have to settle, I'm much more likely to get it.
Yes. Well, one of the key things is when we talk about this identity of a problem solver on the Frontline Innovation Podcast is you saw something that really frustrated you. In most cases, you kind of live with the frustration, right? You got to do the reboot. You got to do the extra thing. You got to stand in line. You got to do all this extra stuff because that's the way it is. But sometimes some people stop and say, you know what? I'm tired of that. Too many people are having this problem. I'm going to do something about it. And one of the things you got to do is you got to figure out, is this a problem that you can solve or affect? So you got to kind of dismantle this problem. You got to understand what this is. And a lot of times, you have a casual conversation with somebody at a networking event, and they're like, all you got to do is the X, Y, Z, and this thing is happening because of this. And as you keep talking, you realize there are not enough details on the problem itself to really get to a fix. It's like, well, all we got to do is get them to do this and get those folks to do this and get them to do this. And then maybe need some legislation, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, somebody has to go in business. Somebody has to advocate for lobbying. That's a lot of work, right? And I guess that number of people who do that get smaller and smaller. But it's like, if we really want the population to be healthier or want people to be more humane, we got to have systems that support that. We need businesses that support that. We need individuals to raise their hand and like, in 10 years, we're going to do X, right? So let's talk about this identity of the person say, you know what? I'm going after it, Jim. This problem X, I'm going after it.
I think that with anything, like when I was working on my PhD, that's years of work. Yeah. And if you think about like your dissertation, you have to write a book. Okay. You have to write a book and it's published. So many people, most of the people that start a doctoral program will finish their coursework, but never get the degree because they don't get the dissertation done. And so I learned at a very young age, any problem that you have, whether it's for a large issue or small, if you break it down into the pieces, and if you can break it down into those pieces, you tackle one piece at a time. And whether it's in a business, if I'm a smart operations manager, I'm looking for people that I know can handle these pieces of this chain. And the more you take these little pieces that are successfully being conducted and fixed, it has a trickle down effect as well. So I think you just have to look at the process. So like in a dissertation, you need your concept, then you have what research have other people done. So you just do that part. Then the next chapter is what are your questions? What are you trying to solve? Then how are you going to solve those questions? Then you actually do the research. you just break it down to one little,
Yeah.
they're just little pieces. I mean, that might be big pieces, and within each piece are pieces, but the process is the same. And so I think in innovation, especially, if a good manager is able to find the right people that can handle the pieces that they're given, because how often does a manager just say, well, I'm going to give it to them, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Or they know, maybe it's the son-in-law that they're going to give this to, like, oh, they can't mess it up that much. Well, yeah, they can actually. And so I think the process of making the plans to solve problems in and of itself is a technology that needs to be improved.
Yeah. And I think there's never been a better time today, because maybe you need more money, but you don't have money to do what you want to do. But there's a lot of capital out in the world who's looking for places to invest. They say, but they want a higher return. Well, you only need one or two of the right investors who are willing to give you the time at a certain rate. Well, I don't know how to get my message out. Well, there's people out there who know how to brand and do marketing. There's people who know how to sell. This is basically in the age of AI. There's no human knowledge gap. You say, I can't answer that question. And if you go out to the world and ask the world to help me out with this cause, you have a lot of people who might be raising their hand, and you don't need a lot, right? You just need a couple, right?
You'll have so many hands being raised, you're overwhelmed. There's so many people out there saying, here, I'll do, the advertising that you see, or you get, especially now with social media advertising, it's just in your face.
Yes.
And how do you know if someone is the right fit or a good contact or not? Which takes me back to a very important thing, or I guess point is, you have to ask the right questions. Is this the right person? Why would that be the right person? Is that the right technology? Where is this, what can be good? What can be bad? Remember in school, how sometimes teachers or professors, they'd say, that's a dumb question. Or there is no such thing as a dumb question. And I'm like, you know what? I think there is such a thing as a dumb question. Maybe not, but I think more importantly is asking a good question. And if you ask the right questions, then whatever you're talking about with, finding that innovation or adding that innovation into your company has a better chance. But if you don't ask the right questions, you're not even looking in the right direction if you miss those.
Yeah, you can make an impact, right? You'd be thinking, oh man, tens of millions, 100 million people. Like, no, I want to help 5,000 people. I need to find 5,000 people, let them know I got something that's advantageous to them. How do I find them? And because sometimes they'll waste money on ads and these campaigns and other means, and they just asking people who have no chance of really consuming what you're buying. And you can get frustrated because that's the wrong person, right? You want to build your own tribe. Maybe 5,000 is too many. You know what? I'm going to go get 300. How do you find those 300? Can we start talking about the concept of the last mile of innovation? There's some cool fixes and solutions that you can afford today that you don't know exist. And for the marketing person, that's so frustrating, right? That's their job, like make the world aware that you exist. So you be observing people with this problem. How long you been having this problem? For the last 10 years. I can't find anything to help fix it. What? Do we been in business? We got this thing for the last 5. You didn't know about it? Let me show you. And then they had that feeling like, oh, they just bought your solution, used it, and it worked. And you're like it's a crowded market, very noisy. Not only you have to find the right problem, build the right business model, get the right team, design it, build it, market it, and then make sure the people actually use it. Like, man, you can't make sure you don't find it in somebody's closet later on. Like that CPAP machine, what? Oh man, it's in the closet. Darn it. And then you got to figure out why it's in the closet. And then maybe you need to go back to the drawing board. And then, so it's this constant iteration of trying to get things like, I heard problem X, I did something about it, and I need to make sure that Jim, you know about it, you bought it, you used it, and you came back and gave me the thumbs up. And that's like the greatest feeling in the world. Jim thumbs up and said, you know what, it worked. It's like, wow.
Yeah. When you put all those pieces together correctly, it does put you in a much better position to be successful, period. And it doesn't matter what the technology is or whatever, but if you are building it with that in mind, because you want, and that's what I love. Innovations are great when you do it right. And it can really, really hurt you if you do it wrong.
Yes. Cool, man. I love this topic, man. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to mention before we close out?
Well, you know what? I think we've covered it. I mean, I think that we could have this conversation keep going for hours and hours.
Yeah.
If you get more specific into whatever, business or business model or innovation or technology. But I think what I like about our conversation today has been, there really are a lot of common denominators if you know how to look at them and apply that to your problem, apply that to your customers. And when you do that, again, you're just a higher level of success is more probable. And it comes right back down to, well, then you're happy.
Yes.
I'm happy when things are working right, when things are going right, I'm happy. And there's that human touch, that human element. Never forget the human element in all of these decisions. It's really important.
Man, I love this conversation, Jim.
It's been fun.
All right, man. We're going to close out another episode of the Frontline Innovation Podcast. But yeah, definitely check out Jim and the work he's doing. Cool guy to know. And then you're thinking about doing something big in the world, and there might be some risky conditions out there. Jim may have some cool thoughts on that. So until next time, take care. That has been another episode of the Frontline Innovation Podcast. Thank you for your time. Innovation doesn't end with a great idea or a product on the shelf. It continues through the realization that someone's problem was fixed after they used the solution. If this episode helped you see a problem more clearly or think differently about how solutions reach the front lines, share it with someone who's doing that work alongside you. And if you're building, designing, selling, or supporting solutions meant to last, subscribe to the Frontline Innovation Podcast, the voice of problem solvers. Because progress isn't driven by ideals alone. It's built by those willing to dismantle problems and do the work that follows. Until next time, stay on the front line and go dismantle a human problem.